In 1951, a young Clint Eastwood stood at a crossroads, gazing at his reflection in the foggy mirror of a rundown diner. He was just another struggling nobody, lost in the uncertainty of life. No riches, no recognition, just a drifter with a pocket full of loose change and a heart burdened by doubt. The world had yet to witness the rise of the man who would become a Hollywood legend. But that night, fate intervened in the form of an old, rugged stranger, a man whose name Clint would never know, yet whose words would shape his destiny forever. At 21, Clint Eastwood had no clear path forward. Born during the Great Depression, he had experienced hardship from an early age. His family moved constantly, making it difficult to establish roots or nurture ambitions. He wasn't a straight-A student, nor did he have a roadmap for success. The Army had just drafted him, and though he carried a tough exterior, inside he was filled with apprehension. What did the future hold? Would he become just another nameless soldier, forgotten by time? Or worse, would he return home with nothing to show for his life? That night, as he sat at the diner counter, stirring a cup of cheap coffee, the door creaked open. A man entered, aged but strong, his presence commanding. His clothes were worn, his face weathered by years of hardship. He sat down beside Clint, ordering nothing but black coffee. Then, without even turning his head, he spoke. "You look like a man carrying the weight of a world that ain't his to carry." Clint frowned, caught off guard by the stranger's words. He hadn't spoken to anyone about his fears, yet somehow this man had read him like an open book. "I don't know what I'm doing with my life," Clint admitted, surprising himself with the confession. "Feels like I'm going nowhere." The old man chuckled. "Kid, I've seen 1,000 men just like you, afraid, doubting. But let me tell you something, life ain't about where you are, it's about where you decide to go." Clint listened, intrigued yet skeptical. "Do you know what makes a man great?" the stranger continued. "Not money, not fame. It's resilience. It's getting up when you're knocked down, looking fear in the eye, and moving forward anyway. Fear ain't your enemy. It's your guide." Clint sat there, absorbing every word. For the first time, his fear felt like a challenge instead of a burden. They spoke for hours, the diner's dim light casting long shadows as time slipped away. The old man shared stories of his own past, battles fought, failures endured, victories hard-earned. He told Clint that the greatest men in history weren't the ones who had it easy, but the ones who stood firm when life tried to break them. "You got something inside you, kid," he said. "I see it. Don't waste it waiting for the world to hand you something. Go take it." When the first light of dawn crept through the window, Clint turned to ask the man's name, but the stool beside him was empty. The old man had vanished, leaving behind nothing but the echo of his words. That encounter changed everything. Clint didn't let fear dictate his choices anymore. He embraced the challenges ahead, pushing himself beyond the limits of doubt. After his military service, he pursued acting with relentless determination. Rejections piled up, but he refused to quit. Every time Hollywood turned him away, he remembered that night at the diner. "You got something inside you, kid. Don't waste it." Years later, Clint Eastwood became one of the most iconic figures in cinema. But through all the fame, fortune, and success, he never forgot the mysterious stranger who lit the fire in his soul. Decades passed, and Clint often wondered about the old man. Who was he? Why did he choose to talk to a young, lost kid that night? Maybe he was just an ordinary man who had seen enough of life to recognize a young dreamer on the edge of giving up. Or maybe, just maybe, he was something more. An angel in disguise, a messenger of fate. Clint never found out. But one thing remained certain. Without that unknown mentor, the world might have never known the legend of Clint Eastwood. Sometimes the most profound impact comes from those who enter our lives for just a fleeting moment, leaving behind wisdom that lasts a lifetime.